Last week, we made a project from a vintage old woodworking book, and this week we're making a project from a newer woodworking book, a book that I wrote called the New Bandsaw Box Book, written by David Picciuto. That's me. We're gonna be making this bandsaw box that opens from both sides, has a handy little pencil and pen holder built right into it, made out of bamboo and mahogany. This is a really easy project. Stick around and see how it's done. All right, to start this off, I got this piece of bamboo that I got from Inventables.com, and then this 2-inch thick piece of mahogany that I got from my local hardwood dealer called Kencraft.com. No, this is not a sponsored video, but people always ask where I get my woods. So the first thing I need to do is chop this piece of mahogany up, because I don't need this whole board, and I need to flatten it out, because it's still rough sawn. So let's go do that. So when you buy the book, every chapter has a secret URL that you can go to. You fill out a form and then you get the downloadable templates that goes with the projects in the book. Or you could photocopy the template in the book and enlarge it by 200% on a copy machine. But who wants to do that? The first thing I need to do is cut out where my pencils are going to sit in here. So I'm gonna do that next over on the bandsaw. So now that we got the centerpiece here, I need to rough cut the two outside pieces. So I'm just going to trace this out here on the bamboo and go cut this out on the bandsaw. Oh yeah, I need two pieces. All right, so we followed step 1 in the book. Now we're on to step 2 of gluing everything together. So we have our back piece, we have our middle piece, and then we have our front piece. Hey David, did you know that bamboo is not wood? So now that that has had time to dry, we're gonna take our printed template with some spray adhesive, attach it to the front, and go cut the outside of the box over on the bandsaw. So over here on the bandsaw, I have a 3/16 of an inch 4 TPI skip tooth blade installed. What I did here was I tried to cut as close to the line as I could without touching it. This will allow me to sand down to the line in a later step. And don't force this through the bandsaw. Let the blade do the cutting. So it may take you a few minutes to get all the way around. So now we're gonna cut out the drawer, and this drawer is going to open from both sides. And so what we need to do is we're gonna come in from the side here with the grain, and then follow the line right down the center and come all the way around. Take your time, let the blade do the work, and stay on the line as much as you can. So the piece that we just cut out will be our drawer. I drew a line on here and we're gonna cut the front and back off here in the bandsaw. Now, because this is round, this is very dangerous to hold this by your hand because the blade is gonna wanna take it and throw it that way. So I'm going to use a clamp to help me guide this through the blade. We are up to step 9 in the book, which we need to mark out the waist piece of our drawer. So our drawer has 3 pieces here. And so I am just going to draw a line along the bottom here, kind of freehand it. Got my finger running up against the bottom here to kind of create a nice even edge. And then we'll round this up here, come this way. And this will be our waist piece. So we have the 3 pieces for the drawer here, and we're going to glue and clamp it up. And we want to match up the original grain pattern as best we can. And in doing so, we will hide the marks left by the bandsaw. In addition, we're going to close up this entry curve by putting a bunch of glue in there and clamping it up as best we can. I'm blowing into the curve trying to get the glue down as far as possible. So the glue has had time to dry, and over here in the disc sander, I'm gonna sand down to the line. And for the drawer, I'm going to remove as little material as possible because the more material that I remove, the looser the fit will be. So now I have an 1/8 inch roundover bit in my router. That's a very, very small roundover. I don't like big roundovers because I think they've been played. So I'm just gonna go around all the edges on the box and the drawer. So now I'm just gonna sand everything up to 220 before putting on a coat of oil. All right, so now that that's all sanded up, I'm gonna put a coat of oil on here, boiled linseed oil, and the oil is going to seep into the wood and it brings out the beauty. And then after that, I'm gonna put a couple coats of spray lacquer on there. And I'm using spray lacquer because that dries really fast and I can apply coats about every 10 minutes. So just do a generous amount of oil on here. And I'm going to flock the inside, and I get asked, do you finish first or flock first? And I've done it both ways. Both ways will work just fine. So this box comes from my book, the New Bandsaw Box book, put out by Springhouse Press. You can find it at bookstores as well as online. I'll have links down below for you to go check that out. I have another book coming out later this year, and it is all cutting boards. So while I'm applying oil to this, let's talk about Patreon. Patreon is a way for you to support me. Patreon members get the extended vlogs every week, plus they are eligible for the weekly giveaways. And in a couple weeks, we're actually going to give this bandsaw box away, but only to my Patreon members. Also, I'm announcing for the first time that all $2 plus Patreon members will get their name printed in my upcoming book, which is all cutting boards. So if you've been following me on Instagram, you've seen a few of those cutting boards that I've been making for that book. So if you want to get your name printed in that book as a thank you, check out patreon.com/Picciuto. So if you like this video, please share it on Facebook and Twitter and hit that thumbs up button to let me know that you enjoyed it. And if you don't already do so, please subscribe because we put out new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. So last Tuesday we put out the Holdfast video that went over pretty well. Next Thursday, I think we're doing a Murphy bed build. That's the kind of bed that folds up and into the wall. So please subscribe and come back and check that out next Thursday. So there's a good coat of oil on there. So I'm just gonna let that soak in for a couple hours, and then I'm gonna take this outside and spray it with a couple coats of spray lacquer. So now that we have the drawer pulls epoxied in, we're going to flock the inside of the drawer, the inside of the pencil area, and the inside of the shell. A lot of people don't flock the inside of the shell, and not only does it make it look good, but it also increases the fit of the drawer to the box. And so this is a technique that I've always done. I'm not going to go into detail on flocking. I've made a dedicated video that you can check out here. So basically you coat the surface with a colored adhesive. Then you put the colored flocking fibers into a flocker, and it uses forced air to blow that onto the painted areas. And once it dries, it has a very velvet-like feel. I'm really happy with the way this came out. If you want to get the books for the plans for this, plus 7 other bandsaw boxes, I'll have links down below. There are 8 projects in here total, all step-by-step with detailed photographs. So once again, that's the new bandsaw box book written by me, David Picciuto. Check out the links down below to get your copy of it. Did you see the pencils and pens in here? I have a video on how to make these wood pencils. No lathe required. I also have another video on how to make these pens. Lathe required. Once again, I have another book coming out later this year, and it is all cutting boards. If you want to get your name printed in that book, head on over to patreon.com/Picciuto to find out how. I put out new videos every Tuesday and Thursday, so be sure to subscribe to be notified when they come out. Next Tuesday, we have a really cool photography hack video coming out, and on Thursday, we're making the Murphy bed. So, as always, be passionate and make something.